Hello, I'm doing a movie review, and the movie I want to review is Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Now, this is a 2018 animated film, which is based on a graphic novel of the same name, which was written by Brian Augustyn and illustrated by Mike Mignola. Now, I recently read the graphic novel and I reviewed it, and I could tell you that this movie changes a lot from the comic. Now, the premise of Gotham by Gaslight is it's set in an alternate Batman continuity where basically the idea is, what if Batman and other characters from the Batman mythos actually lived in the 19th century? But it's also, what if Batman met Jack the Ripper, and in this movie Jack the Ripper, instead of terrorizing London, terrorizes Gotham City. So, the plot of the movie is Jack the Ripper is murdering destitute women in Gotham City. Meanwhile, there's also a masked vigilante going around called the Batman, and because both these guys have come up around the same time, there are people who think that Batman and Jack the Ripper are one and the same. And the movie really becomes about Batman, who we of course know is Bruce Wayne, trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper actually is. Now, I thought Gotham by Gaslight was a very well done animated film. I would honestly say this is probably one of the best of the animated Batman films. I don't think it's flawless by any means, but I still think it's really well done. The animation is really good, and the voice acting is fantastic. The movie also touches on some interesting themes like misogyny and class inequality. Like, Selina Kyle is a prominent character in this movie, and there's a certain point where she's going on about how if it were men being killed by Jack the Ripper, they would have caught him by now. But then Bruce Wayne points out to her that it's not so much that it's women being killed by Jack the Ripper that people don't care, it's the fact that it's poor women. And in the movie you see some of the police in Gotham City act like these women deserved to die because they were of a lower class, and some of them were even prostitutes. So, Selina Kyle, as I pointed out, is a major character in this movie, which is a big deviation from the graphic novel because she was not in the graphic novel at all. You also see an alternate version of Harvey Dent in this movie, obviously not Two-Face yet. Now, Harvey Dent is my favorite Batman character, but he is a complete prick in this movie. You also see, of course, Jim Gordon and Hugo Strange. You have Leslie Tompkins, who in this continuity is a nun. You also see an alternate version of Pamela Isley, who we of course know is Poison Ivy, but in this continuity she doesn't even get a chance to become Poison Ivy because, spoiler alert, she's one of Jack the Ripper's victims in this, and that's not really a spoiler because it's right at the beginning. You also see alternate universe versions of all three Robins, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake. Obviously they're not Robins yet, but it does imply that in this continuity they will become Robins, or at least become some kind of helpers to Batman. Also, the big reveal of who Jack the Ripper is completely different in the comic. Again, it's a really interesting movie. It's interesting to see where these characters would be if they existed in the 19th century. I also thought it was interesting, there's a certain point in this movie where it implies that Sherlock Holmes actually exists in this universe, because at a certain point it implies that Bruce Wayne was actually a student of Sherlock Holmes. Now, even though this is a Batman movie, this is definitely not for kids. The movie's actually rated R, but I'm not 100% sure if the movie really earned its R rating. I mean, there is some cursing, and there is definitely violence, but I never thought the violence got too graphic. And there is some implied nudity, but it's nothing that gets graphic by any means. Once again, I thought it was a great movie, but I don't think it really needed to be rated R. But yeah, that was my review on Batman Gotham by Gaslight, and bye.